Okay, mute your mic.
Can I get a mic check on Zoom, please?
I heard you.
We're live on YouTube and UGTV.
Mayor, we are ready.
All right, thank you. We're getting feedback. Someone have their? All right, it's good. Okay, thank you. Good evening. Before I call the meeting to order, I want to announce that due to COVID-19, commissioner staff and the public are attending remotely via Zoom, by phone, or on site. All participants are joining by phone. All participants joining by phone. Misty, I think there you go. All participants joining by phone should mute their phones when not speaking to avoid background noise and reverberation. During the meeting, please make sure that you announce yourself by name and title every time you speak so that the public that is observing knows who is speaking. This is critical given the number of remote participants and his current guidance from the Kansas Attorney General. And due to COVID-19 requirements, in-person public comment is allowed as required by law. The public is allowed to participate by Zoom or actually to attend in person. I will now call the meeting to order. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Thank you. Roll call. Burroughs.
Here.
Townsend.
Here.
McKiernan.
Here.
Ramirez.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Kane. And Commissioner Kane has submitted an absence memo. Markley.
Here.
Walters.
Here.
Gilbrook.
Here.
Bynum.
Here.
Alvey.
Here. This evening, our invocation is being given by Commissioner Johnson of Faith Deliverance Church of God in Christ. Please stand and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That's it. Yes. I'm sorry. Now the invocation.
Let us pray. Good and gracious God, we thank you for bringing us together one more time as the leadership of this great community. I ask tonight, God, that you would give us the wisdom to govern amidst our various interests and issues. Give us a sense of welfare and a knowledge of the true needs of our people from every corner of our county. Give us, Lord, a confidence in doing that which is good and fitting for all persons. We pray this, God, that tonight that you would pray that you would be in our agenda. Give us an assurance of what would please you and benefit those that live and work in and around our community of Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas. We pray this in your blessed name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Commissioner Johnson. Mr. Clerk, are there any revisions to tonight's agenda?
Mayor, there were no revisions to tonight's agenda.
Thank you. Go to the consent agenda. Does any member of our commission, county administrator, wish to set aside any item on the consent agenda? If an item is not set aside, all items on the consent agenda will be voted on by one vote.
Move to approve as submitted. Ramirez.
Bynum, second.
Thank you. We have a motion to approve all items as submitted by Commissioner Ramirez and a second by Commissioner Bynum. Roll call, please.
Roll call. Burroughs.
Aye.
Townsend.
Aye.
McKiernan. Aye. Ramirez.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Markley.
Aye.
Walters.
Aye.
Gilbrook.
Aye.
Bynum.
Aye.
The vote is 9-0. That motion carries.
Thank you. That takes us to public hearing agenda to consider approval of the Village East first amended and restated Star Bond project plan for project areas 2B, 3, and 5. Mr. Bach for opening remarks, please.
Thank you, Mayor, Commission, members of the public. I'm Doug Bach, County Administrator for the Unified Government. Tonight before us is an item that is brought forth by the Home Field Development Project. They have originally come before the governing body and received approval to do a new project in the western part of our county. They've asked for this project plan to come back before the governing body for consideration for an amendment to it. If I can ask for the presentation to be put on the screen, I'll just give you a brief reminder of what the current project is and how it is structured today. So the developer bought ground in this area. It also includes the sale of some UG land that was on site that was held by the state and the unified government. Star bond financing was approved in the amount of $130 million. Their first issuance was $75 million, the second to be $55. There has been no star bonds issued for the project yet. Is as part of this star area, there is some sharing of the Menards revenue that would be within that is standard in star bond deals that projects are created in there do generate revenue and put it toward the future of that project. The developer is also committed to spend $3.75 million in other community capital investment outside of this area, particularly in the eastern portion of our community in areas where it's more difficult to develop. I will note to date, as the developer has been moving forward, they have expended more than $20 million in land acquisition, and as many of you have seen, demolition going on in the site. So at this point, they've decided they needed to come forward and work through the project to make some expansions because they have an opportunity with an organization called Perfect Game. In a moment, I'll recognize Rob Heineman with Home Field to describe them in a little bit more detail, but they are a premier provider of amateur baseball events, and they'll host high quality teams and tournaments that are out here. So to bring this state-of-the-art facility, it's about a $30 million change. So in addition to the project, but they also need additional space. If we can hit the next slide. So earlier, the commission had considered expanding the project district area. And as you can see on the map, it shows the area that's marked in new and light blue on the side of the screen, and then down where the cursor is hitting it now, where the old Frontier Steakhouse was. Those are new areas being added into this, and we've already taken action to approve this as the state has also approved this. The action that comes forward to you tonight is one of exchanging the plan. And with the plan, what we were giving them authority to do is they had originally contemplated to put the home field project area in the area that's the cursor is kind of yellow goldish. That where it is. By amending the plan, it really provides them the opportunity to move it over into the more purple area and then spread some of the other developments in other parts of it. So that is really the biggest thing that's approved here. They noted within the plan that they could generate a higher level of bonds and be able to return bonds. This does not give them the approval to do that tonight. This really just comes in and gives them the approval to move forward with the new plan area. If they want to do additional bonds on this project over and above what they're currently, they will have to come in and show justification as to how that would be done. That would require an amendment to our development agreement, and that is not for consideration this evening. But really to describe this project in a little bit more detail and provide some a color, I think, to some of the successes that have been going on out there to date, I'd like to recognize Rob Heineman with Home Field for him to let us know how the project's succeeding and how this new edition of Perfect Game will work in this area. Mr. Heineman?
Thank you very much, Mr. Bach. Rob Heineman with Home Field, and I appreciate everyone's time and consideration this evening. We're back before you because the project continues to have just a ton of momentum, and we're excited about everything that's going on out there. And I'd like to kind of catch you up and give you a little bit of an update, starting with this project plan. So if we start kind of in the Northwest in the auto dealership area, very good discussions with a couple of dealers that we believe would add a ton of value to the site in areas 3 and 4. Those are discussions that are well down the road. We're feeling very good about both of them being at a point where they would be under contract in time for the bond issuance, which we're now thinking is likely to occur sometime in the November timeframe, and are really excited about the prospect of bringing a couple of those dealers to the community. So that's a big one for us. If I hop across the road to parcel 6, we have that under contract today with a fast food operator. The intention would be that they'd close on that piece of ground probably within the next 90 days. And again, just another good user out on the site. Area 7 is a piece of land that we sold to a developer by the name of Amal Renat. And Mr. Renat, I know, has been through, I believe, most of his process with the city around building I believe it's a 90-room Fairfield Inn that'll be going on that spot. And I think his intention would be to start construction probably within the next 90 days. So again, feel very positive about everything that's kind of going on up in that area. If I swing down to the Southwest in kind of the green area, Camping World, located south of Menards. We have executed a 20-year lease agreement with Camping World. We are in planning right now. We have, kind of design drawings. We're getting close to selecting a general contractor out there and feel very good about Camping World. And the expectation and intention would be to probably have Camping World open sometime in early 2023. For us, it's a huge feather in the cap of this project because they're such a large sales tax generator. So we're excited to have them kind of under contract and moving forward. If I jump into kind of the center of the project here, this is the area that formerly Home Field was going to be located, the Home Field Athletic Building, and I'm going to talk about that and its relocation over to the purple in a minute. But we're really excited about what we're going to be replacing that in this area with, which is a 325-room water-themed water resort hotel. This is a hotel project that we now have under contract. Probably going to wind up somewhere in the neighborhood of a $75 million project, and think that this will put kind of a full service sort of first class hotel out in this area. And we think it'll be, something that not only will generate a ton of room nights, but also likely will have 25 to 30,000 square feet of conference space as well. So we think, it could add a lot of conference business out in this area. So really thrilled to have that. It's a huge new get for us. It probably in and of itself is a destination attraction amenity. And so we're really excited to have that as part of our project. Just up to the right from that, we're showing luxury RV park. And interestingly enough, the operator and the kind of brand that we're working with on the resort that I just mentioned is also in the luxury RV park business. So we're going to be doing a deal with them to expand kind of their footprint out into this area, and would expect that we could probably do something in the neighborhood of 150 slips for RVs out in this area. So excited to have that and have a high quality operator in tow. Just below that in white, you'll actually see the Millhouse apartment project. And Millhouse is, again, in planning. My expectation would be that they'll close on their ground in the month of July and probably start construction, I don't know, within 60 days, probably following that. These are 280 approximately apartments that'll be out there. We also have some opportunity for them to grow to the north if they'd like in a phase 2. So really excited to have a nationally renowned apartment developer out here on site and kind of moving forward. And if you've followed kind of just materials pricing over the course of the last couple of months here, lumber's been a huge issue. And, the lumber market now has kind of stabilized and dropped quite a lot. So it's going to allow some of these projects to move forward. So we're very excited about that. On parcels 19, 20, and 21, we're in active discussions with multiple restaurants on all of those. We don't have a contract signed, but we would expect that we would have all those parcels designated, probably within the next 60 to 90 days. So we're feeling very positive about that. Another really positive development for the site is Area 22. And we're supposed to have a letter of intent from a national medical office provider for this site to basically do kind of 8 acres or what they've been telling us, kind of 60 to 70,000 square feet of medical office on site, which again, from just the development of the area, I think that'd be something that would be wonderful to have out there. And also from just a star bond perspective, it's a large amount of kind of private spend and really helps prop up the development in total, which is a metric that the state looks at really deeply. So we're excited about having that going on. If I hop over to the east, in purple, we've now relocated kind of the primary home field building over there. So that building, just to kind of refresh your memory, is about a 225,000 square foot building that inside of it, it'll be comprised of 9 basketball courts, 6 volleyball courts, 2 large 7v7 soccer or football fields. And then it'll have all sorts of associated kind of amenities and spaces around speed, strength, and agility, physical therapy, recovery, esports, all different sorts of things that'll help assist in kind of the ecosystem that we're trying to build in that building. You'll see outside of it, we are saying that we would have kind of a multi-purpose field that would be lighted, that'd be used for, lacrosse and football, potentially soccer from time to time, but, primarily I think more of a lacrosse and football setting. And then, I'm going to get into kind of the big addition that we've made from an attraction standpoint here over the course of the last, 6 months is Perfect Game. And Doug touched on Perfect Game just briefly. Perfect Game, just to give you a snapshot. I mean, they're, a leading tournament operator in the United States. If you are a premier youth playing baseball, you've interacted with Perfect Game likely in some fashion. They do a great job around sort of statistical analysis and grading of players. And Perfect Game is in the process right now of trying to locate basically 3 major campuses across the US, East Coast, West Coast, and Midwest. We were fortunate enough to be selected as the Midwest participant in competition with a number of cities in this area. So, getting Perfect Game as part of this deal, we think just changes the game in a big time way. What they will do is from, call it roughly Memorial Day to Labor Day, we'll have tournaments in town virtually Tuesday to Sunday every week of that period. And as part of their engagement with us, they're pledging 75,000 room nights a year in the area, with those room nights, getting first preference inside of kind of Village East and Village West. Secondarily, obviously throughout the rest of the community in Wyandotte County, and then thirdly to, kind of the state of Kansas. So we think they're going to be a massive generator out there and going to create a ton of traffic. And, when we talk to people like the hotel operator, for example, about somebody like, Perfect Game, they're thrilled. They do, kind of backflips around it. So very happy about where that's going. And so that's just, I guess, kind of at a high level, things that I would say are either signed or well down the road. I can tell you we're getting new calls every day from retailers, from restaurants, from different attractions. We're working on a couple very large deals on parcels 16 and 17, kind of over there in the mustard color. Nothing far enough along for me to report yet. But again, we just feel like the way the site's going, it's exceeding what our expectations could have been. I think we felt like we would have to develop the home field pieces and then hope for development to follow. And frankly, we've got pieces of the development, like the apartments, like Camping World, that right now are ahead of the home field development, frankly. So feel really good about that. Have, just a ton of good feedback from, potential users about the area, about the district, and about kind of the ecosystem that we're creating out there, and feel very positive about it. So I guess that's kind of my high level overview. I'm happy to answer any questions anyone may have about what's going on out there.
Thank you, Rob. I appreciate that input. Mayor, if I can, we'll go through and complete the presentation, and then we can stand for questions as we move to the public hearing component. Just a quick reminder to the commission on the timeline. So this did first come to the commission for the Economic Development and Finance Committee, and they approved us to move forward with that. We received approval from the state of Kansas regarding the Star Bond District changes. And then on June 10th, the commission took action to approve the expansion of the Star Bond District, as I noted earlier. Tonight, we're considering the amendment to the project plan. And if we approve that, then the state will consider that approval by the June 30th and submit that back to us. With that, I'm going to recognize Todd LaSala, our attorney that has been working on this project to go over a few details that need to be brought forward before we conduct a public hearing. Todd?
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you, Doug. Todd LaSala from Stinson. Just a couple of things that I'll say about the process tonight and where we are. Statutorily, we're required to give you a presentation about the changes to the project plans. I'll do that very briefly because frankly, Doug and Rob have done a very good job of explaining what's going on here. Primarily, we're here tonight because there are substantial changes, and it's really in part adding Perfect Game and moving that indoor building from Project Area 3 to Project Area 5, like Rob and Doug have talked about. So each of the project plans, the amended and restated project plans you have before you tonight, include a description of the improvements in those project areas, references to the Starbond District Plan, and a summary of the updated feasibility analysis that we've done for each of these project areas. Canyon Southwest performed that feasibility study, and the feasibility study includes a market study, visitation expectations, some analysis about the unique qualities of the project, and ultimately feasibility analysis about the projected revenues and whether those new sales tax revenues will support the star bonds that are requested. The Canyon study does all of this. We can go into great detail about it if you like, but it ultimately concludes that if the UG and the state decide eventually to agree to issue as many as $180 million of star bonds, then the projected sales tax revenues from these project areas should provide enough support and coverage for that amount of star bonds. So accordingly, tonight, you'll consider those three new project plans that are on the agenda. And after a public hearing, you can vote on them. So Doug, that's all I have. Happy to answer your questions.
Thank you, Mr. LaSala. So Mayor, with that, that concludes our presentation, and we are happy to answer any questions, but would recommend we also have a public hearing on this.
Thank you. So I will now open the public hearing. Ask the clerk if you received any notification from the public who wishes to express comments on this item.
Mayor, no requests from the public were received.
Okay. And there is no one present, I see, to speak on this item unless they're in the queue. No one on the
No.
queue. Thank you very much. So I'll, at this time, close the public hearing. Mr. LaSala or staff, do you have any closing comments?
Mayor, we do not. We are open for questions from the commission if you have any.
Thank you. So I'm just going to begin with a couple of comments. You know, I think it's interesting, Mr. Heineman, you said that the Homefield project is you thought was going to be the driver and the other areas would have to be developed. But with all that other activity with the restaurants and Camping World and the apartments, clearly what we're seeing, I'm hoping, is that the interest in the Legends area, Village West, continues to be very strong, and they are looking for developers are looking for opportunities to really be a part of that. Is that basically how you would read this?
Yeah, it is, Mayor. And I think we've been, you know, as I mentioned, pleasantly surprised about all the momentum. And I guess I would just say from a collegial spirit perspective, I mean, I think we want, you know, Village East or whatever this winds up being called, Homefield or whatever, to generate even more traffic than our friends across the road at Village West. So, I mean, I think that's the way that we look at it. That's the vision that we have for this, that, you know, this is a 20-year plan where we'd like this to be a development that frankly winds up being the largest tourist attraction in the state of Kansas. So that's the way we're approaching it. I think the vision that we're selling to retailers and to attractions like Perfect Game is working. And so we just want to keep the momentum going.
So I had not heard of Perfect Game, and when it first came forward, I mentioned it to someone who actually had played college ball and was hoping to go to the pros, and he was hoping to be selected to participate in Perfect Game, and even with his talent, he was not good enough to be a part of it. So this is really premier baseball players playing in premier position, being seen by recruiters and scouts from across the country. Is that fairly accurate?
It is. What I don't want it to sound is like it's not an inclusive environment. It is. I mean, they do a lot of community-based programs. They do some rec tournaments as well. at the top level, kind of their statistical analysis and the way that they do data around players is at a whole different level. And just to give you sort of a crazy stat, they told me the other day in the last Major League Baseball draft, of the top 50 picks, like 47 of those kids were kind of, quote unquote, perfect game kids. So if you do want to compete at the top level, this is definitely the funnel that you want to go through. But they do a lot of other things in baseball as well at kind of all different age levels and competitive levels. And the thing that I tell you is kind of the home field project. We've been, in early discussions now with the Wyandotte County Baseball Club out there and their group with the fields up there just north of our project, and believe there's a great partnership in store for us. Hopefully we can go do some improvements to some of those fields up there, give their kids access to these fields that we're developing down here as well. So yeah, I mean, I think we just want to grow the game of baseball substantially in this community and feel like this is a great anchor point to do it.
All right. Thank you. Commissioner Ramirez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Heineman and Mr. LaSala. I think this is an amazing project. It's going to be an amazing project for Wyandotte County, for our economic development. It's a great investment. I think it was said, I don't remember who may have said it during the presentation about the community capital investment that you are pledging, the 3.75 million. I would recommend that be spent on the eastern portion of our county. I don't want us to forget our eastern portion, the northeast. They need some TLC, they need some investment as well. But I hope that those areas are what you're looking at for those community capital investments. And it's your prerogative, to invest and expend how you would like. But I would just highly recommend that those areas be a priority looking at, because they have been historically disinvested. And that's something that this commission has been trying to overturn and turn the wheels back and try and reinvest in our eastern portion of our county. But overall, like I said, this is an amazing project. I can't wait to see what it looks like. I know I have many people asking. I've had some of my constituents ask, they keep hearing about home field, but they didn't know what it was. And so with me, I've had to explain that, and everyone seems excited. So I can't wait to see how it looks all built out, and I can't wait to see what it does for our community. So thank you.
Commissioner
Thank you, Commissioner. If I could respond to that too, if you wouldn't mind, I do want you to know that we're looking at a number of projects throughout the community right now around the community investment pledge that we've made. And I would tell you there are projects in the East. And, I think we're looking at all different types of projects. We're looking at housing. We're looking at some retail. We're looking at some hospitality. So, yeah, I mean, we definitely, that's something that, we're committed and very interested in. I think there's real opportunity around doing something. So thank you for your comments.
Thank you. Commissioner McKiernan.
Thank you, Mayor. I agree with Commissioner Ramirez. I do think that this will be a spectacular project, and it is a definite addition to the amenities that we have in Wyandotte County. But a point that I've made in our Economic Development and Finance Standing Committee is a point that I want to make again here today. While this is a STAR district, and while sales tax revenue will be going to pay back the bonds to create this amenity, all of these properties, as they go vertical, as they appreciate in value, will pay full property tax to the unified government. And so this project will not only be an amenity of value to the residents of Wyandotte County, but it will materially contribute to enhance our ability to provide services across the county as a part of our annual budget. And so I want to make sure we don't lose sight of the fact that we are going to get the property taxes from these properties as they appreciate in value. And that is very useful to us. So thank you very much for the project.
Thank you. Commissioner Townsend.
Good evening, Commissioner Townsend, District 1. Mr. Heineman, good evening. You mentioned in your response accessibility, and I guess it was 2 weeks ago when this body last met that there was actually a caller who asked about that very thing. And when this project, Home Field, was first presented months ago at Standing Committee, that was one of the questions, issues, concern I had, that people from anywhere in Wyandotte County, particularly the Northeast End, would have access to the ball fields and the amenities that were in the gold area. Now we're talking about the expanded version for ball fields, and those facilities will be in the purple area. So I would like for you to take this opportunity to address that accessibility issue. Before I say that, had the pleasure a couple of weeks ago to throw out the first pitch at the newly renovated Quindaro baseball. Now, I threw out the pitch, even though if you see the video, it looked in the end more like I was bowling, which I'm a little bit better at. But I'm looking at a great field that was redone over 4 or 5 year period. But things like a scoreboard are still needed. And there are other things. And as you consider where the money may go, if we're going to promote, or your project is going to promote baseball, we need to look at the fields we currently have and what their needs might be. A shameless plug, but a plug nevertheless for consideration. But I'd appreciate if you would talk about accessibility of these fields. Maybe some of the kids I saw 2 weeks ago who were like maybe 9 to 12, 13 years old may one day be of the caliber of player, but not right now. So accessibility is a big issue. If you could speak to that, please.
Yeah, so a couple points on that. Number one, we want this to be as inclusive as possible. And again, what Home Field, at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is we're trying to provide opportunities for kids to be better athletes and just probably then hopefully better people in general, what they learn through kind of the competitive, environment. But we are going to go seek out kids that we think are exceptional and have talent. And, socioeconomics shouldn't stand in the way of us trying to find kids that have talent and then giving them the opportunities to see if they can succeed and do better for themselves through sport. So that for us is just kind of that's sort of a lifeblood, trying to just find and provide opportunities for all different shapes and sizes of kids from all different walks of life to try to see if we can help them be the best athlete that they can be. Secondarily, proximity to this is really important to us, and making sure that we're activating a radius of rooftops around us, because, sports is a big commitment, and, having to go to baseball practice 2, 3, 4 times a week, obviously having proximity or living near to the complex is better for us. It makes it easier, more accessible for kids to get there. It makes it less of a hassle for parents to have to deal with it. So us, kind of marketing and reaching out to, kind of our area of Kansas City, Kansas, we will absolutely be committed to doing that. As it relates to improving fields, I mentioned in my comments that we're working with the Wyandotte Baseball Club just up the street here, and we're going to do some improvements to those fields up there. I mean, those are fields that I think they were built in the 60s maybe, and so they've got some drainage issues, and, some of the lighting is probably pretty old at this point. So I would say, us having kind of a community reinvestment program around developing fields or places to play is probably another thing that's very likely that we'll do. I don't know if you recall, sporting, my involvement with sporting, we built futsal courts all throughout the community. And so, us doing things to kind of quote unquote grow the game throughout the community, it's great for the community, but it's also, it's self-serving. It does really well for us too, to help develop and identify kids. So I can tell you that we have every incentive in the world to try to go activate this and make this as inclusive as possible. And candidly, I also think the way that we've kind of spoken to both the city and the state about this is obviously Wyandotte County residents, whether that's an adult or a child, are going to have preferred access. They're going to have preferred pricing. And again, we'll definitely be working with the school districts around how do we utilize this, to improve some of their athletic programs as well. So, I can't tell you that we've got it all drawn out on a piece of paper right now and how exactly it's going to work, but it's easy for us to commit to doing something like that because it's great for the community, but it's also really great for us. It's great for our business model as well. So more than happy to continue to provide you information on that as we have things that are more, ingrained and solid.
Well, thank you. And while those plans are being drawn up, I would wholeheartedly advocate that you look at some of these young teams of the kind that I saw who are in the Parks and Rec program that played at Quindaro. They also play at Clam, and having days or opportunities where those teams could come out to home field and have the opportunity to access those fields and be inspired by some of these players you said are of such a great caliber. And I do remember your association with Sporting KC and am appreciative of the fine futsal court that was put in at Garland Park, underutilized, so may need some help in pumping that up. But a great soccer field, and was not done at the expense of having to sacrifice, which was the original plan, some tennis courts elsewhere. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Commissioner Bynum.
Thank you, Mayor. I had a question. Good evening, Mr. Heineman. Thanks for the project. Obviously, we're very excited about all the growth in this area. I think my question might be for Mr. LaSala or perhaps Kathleen Bodanchin. So we are talking about a current star bond letting totaling 130 million, correct, Mr. Bach? 130 million.
Yes, current project is approved for the 130 million.
If you look in our agenda packet on page 1200 and something, you see total star bond revenues. Star bond revenues for project areas 2B, 3, and 5 are estimated at 4.8 million in 21, 8.9 million in 22, 13.9 million in 23, 18.4 million in 24, 21.4 million at stabilization in 25, as outlined in the table within the chart of the big report that was done. Throughout the 20-year life of Village East project areas 2B, 3, and 5 are estimated to generate net star bond revenues totaling approximately 445 million. That's in the Canyon Research Report. And the question is for me and the public, because we've actually been living in the star bond world here in Wyandotte County for possibly 20 years now with the inception of Village West. I still don't think we understand how the star bonds operate. So I'm asking this question, 130 million in star bonds let, and by the 20-year life, star bond revenues totaling approximately 445 million. So can you just give us the Cliff's Notes version of how we get there?
Yes, I can. Doug
Thank
Bach,
you.
County
Thank
Administrator.
you, Doug.
So when a firm such as Canyon goes out and does research on a project like this, they go through and they will reach a number like that by analyzing what is the potential output that could come if all projects make to their fullest potential within the area. We then take a look at that kind of project and scale it to what is more practical. So their number, and I would let Rob or Todd jump in on it, is really one that to reach that 400 plus number is everything would have to start building immediately open up and reach high number of productivity throughout the 20-year time period. We know not everything is going to open up immediately. And that's what then they'll come back through and they'll do their analysis to say, this is where we think it is, where it can be. They projected into this that they think this project could easily cover $180 million worth of STAR bonds. And that's what they do. Before we ever sell any STAR bonds, then we go back and we do another analysis on a project like this, and we'll hire a different firm that really gets in the granular detail of what development agreements are in place that Mr. Hyman has signed, when is their projected construction date going to complete, and then does a value breakdown of each individual development to determine how much they can produce on an annual basis, what's the average, not nationwide, but in the Midwest, or if they're unfound, or there's something new like the home field ball fields, which is kind of an interesting one. They give great discounts to those, and then they come back and say, okay, you think you can take this to market to sell the bonds. Now our hope is that we are always producing at a higher level. And in the case of Village West, that is one where we did. That project started in 2001. We said we could retire the bonds in 2021. As you recall, we quickly turned that date back because of the performance of projects in that area, from Nebraska Furniture Mart, Cabela's, and the Legends, to be hitting a date of 2013. We added in sporting to that project, and we still retired all the bonds to this whole project by 2016. So they were all performing at a higher level, even adding to it. This is the same thing we would look at here before we go through and issue any bonds, and how that comes to that. Rob, Todd, anything to add to what I said?
No, that's very well said. There is, Commissioner, there is a very conservative approach to issuing bonds for really the reasons Doug's talking about. So importantly, that page that you're looking at with the $445 million number on it, that gets down all the way down and ultimately says this could support more than $180 million worth of bonds. It includes coverage ratios and debt service reserves, and it includes some conservative things in the process that are designed to protect the bond buyer. The bond buyer doesn't know, they go in buying these bonds knowing it's not just dollar for dollar, there's coverage, there's more bond revenue here available than what we really even need to service the bonds. And so some of what you're seeing there with such a big number to ultimately support a smaller number of bonds is about the conservative nature of that process. So I'd only add that.
Thank you.
All right, I would entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Markley.
Johnson, second.
We have a second by Commissioner Ramirez and Commissioner Johnson. Roll call, please.
Roll call. Burroughs.
Aye.
Townsend.
Aye.
McKiernan.
Aye.
Ramirez.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Markley.
Aye.
Walters.
Aye.
Philbrook.
Aye.
Bynum.
Aye.
Vote is 9-0. That motion carries.
Thank you. That concludes
Thank you
the
very
public
much.
hearing agenda. It takes us to the commissioner's agenda. Just one item, approving disbursement of the 2021 casino grant funds. Mr. Bach.
Mayor, I will recognize Assistant County Administrator Emerick Cross to present this item this evening, who has been working on it with the governing body. Mr. Cross.
Mr. Bach, thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. So we're in the second to last step for the 2021 casino grant timeline. Tonight, what I'm asking is the commission to vote on the distribution of the designations for the 2021 UG Hollywood Casino grant process. After a brutal year last year due to COVID, we're going to designate $793,809. This year, Mayor, I know a lot of 501c3s were hurting, and these funds will certainly help our community and those organizations in all their different endeavors. So tonight I'm asking for approval, and if approved, the notifications will be sent to the recipients who received these designated grants on Friday, July 9th, in a couple of weeks. So with that, Mayor, I will ask for approval.
All right. Any comments or questions from the commission? Commissioner Townsend?
Thank you, Mr. Cross, for all your efforts on what has been an unusual year, but a better year for us to have the ability, as you say, to disperse more funds than we did last couple of years. I'm going to ask you the question that all of the recipients want to know. Notifications, you say, will be sent July 9th. When will the checks go to the recipients?
So those checks, according to Denise St. Omer at the Greater Kansas City Community Foundation, will follow very shortly once they receive their notifications. We go through our approval process here through the clerk's office, and then I will notify Ms. St. Omer, and those checks should be going out right after that Friday, July 9th.
Okay. And refresh my recollection again, please. The checks will be coming from Ms. St. Omer's organization?
Yes, ma'am. They will be coming from the Greater Kansas City Community Foundation. That's the organization that all of the grant recipients have submitted their applications to, and they've communicated with her, and they work closely with that organization. So they're very familiar with her. And if they have any questions, feel free to contact me or Ms. St. Omer if anybody has any questions.
Okay, so it would be safe to tell them that within several weeks after the July 9th notification, checks are to follow.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Commissioner Bynum?
Thank you, Mayor. Emerick, would you ask Denise St. Omer at the Community Foundation if she would forward to all of the commissioners and the mayor a copy of the cover letter that the Community Foundation sends with the check? Because that letter outlines for the grant recipients their reporting responsibilities. And as you know, in the past, I've asked you almost every year to give me the updates on reports that are lacking. Grant recipients need to make sure that they submit their reports timely. And I would like personally to be able to have a copy of the letter that goes with the check so that I can remind the grantees that I supported that reports are coming due. It seems like every year I'm emailing one of the recipients to say, it looks like you have a report that you missed. So I'm just asking for a copy of that letter. I know I write grants for my job, and keeping the letter is important. Don't throw it away and cash the check and not pay attention to what the letter says. Keep the letter. It has important information in it. So I'd like to have a copy of it.
Yes, ma'am. I'll get a copy of that from Denise and the Greater Kansas City Community Foundation, and I will send that out to the mayor and all the commissioners, and we'll get that to Allie Porter as well.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Philbrook?
Ditto on that with Melissa's comments, because yes, we do get informed, and I don't think it's because people don't really want to be in compliance. It's just time gets away from them, and it's not something that they may normally do, is write up reports saying this is how I spent the money. So I appreciate having that information too. But I also am so happy though that this process has gotten better over the years. Thank you, Angela Markley, for helping, guiding us, because she had some really great ideas about how we needed to do this. And so thanks, Angela. I really do appreciate that. And thanks to the rest of the commission who has decided to handle it, because it lets us, the commissioners, help folks out there, not only in our particular community, but in the whole city for Wyandotte County. So thanks a lot.
Commissioner Johnson?
Thank you, Mayor. Motion to approve as submitted.
Townsend, second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Roll call. Burroughs,
Aye.
Townsend,
Aye.
McKiernan,
Aye.
Ramirez,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Markley.
Aye.
Walters,
Aye.
Philbrook,
Aye.
Bynum.
Aye.
The vote is 9-0. That motion carries.
Thank you. That concludes the portion of our regular meeting. We are adjourned in that capacity. And now call us back to order as the Land Bank Board of Trustees. Does any member of the Commission or County Administrator wish to set aside any item on the Land Bank consent agenda?
McKiernan, move to approve all as submitted.
Burroughs, second.
I think we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Roll call, Burroughs,
Aye.
Townsend,
Aye.
McKiernan,
Aye.
Ramirez,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Markley,
Aye.
Walters,
Aye.
Philbrook,
Aye.
Bynum.
Aye.
The vote is 9-0. That motion carries.
Thank you. That concludes our meeting for the evening. Thank you for attendance. We are adjourned.
Terry, I think you might be the host right now. If you end for everybody, that will end for everybody and YouTube as well. Terry, are you there?